you stop that right there? Are you dopamine detoxing right now? Well, let me tell you something. Dopamine detox is an absolute scam. Drop that book and start binge watching some Netflix. I'm just kidding. Binge watch Pablo's pill instead and enjoy the episode. Now, basic science says that it takes 2 whole weeks for tolerances of drugs to reset. That means if you smoke 1 gram of weed today, it's going to get you really high. And if you then smoke another gram of weed in 3 days from now, it's not going to get you nearly as high, simply because you built up a tolerance. Now, if you think about it, social media is not that different. It releases a lot of dopamine. It's actually rather comparable to cocaine in that sense, because both release huge amounts of dopamine. And if you look at brain scans, you can see that it's really not good for your brain. These tolerances, they are a lot worse for chronic users. Proper stoners usually have to take breaks that last 2 to 3 months to properly feel something from weed again. Otherwise, they have to smoke 1.5 grams a day and they barely feel anything. So do you really think that you can change your brain structure in 24 hours? See, these 24-hour dopamine detox challenges, they're quite a scam. They do not work the way that you want them to work. They do have their own benefits, which we're going to get to later, but for now, we're going to get into how you should properly do a proper dopamine detox.
Correctly. So what we would recommend is doing a long-term dopamine detox. This means cutting out things like social media permanently. Now, of course, we always preach moderation on this channel, and we know that you're likely to burn out if you radically go from using social media to not using it at all. Now, a good way to determine which parts you should leave in your life and which parts you should completely cut out is using the Pareto principle. Basically keeping 20% of the habits that give you 80% of the reward. We actually got this idea from the YouTuber Hamza, who still obviously does some of the bad habits, but only the ones that actually give him proper pleasure. And I found that it just makes everything a lot more enjoyable, since you have so much more time on your hands, but a lot of the things that gave you the actual pleasure are still in your life, and that makes it so much more sustainable long term.
You're probably going to want to download social media every now and then to reply to some messages or to post something online. You're probably going to want to go out with your friends to go to that Five Guys meeting that you planned. And let me tell you something, that's okay, because we always preach moderation. It's much better to have a long-term consistency goal rather than sticking to an absolute extreme of doing nothing fun at all. As long as you consistently stick to your dopamine detox over the course of at least 3 months, of only doing the 20% of the activities that give you 80% of the pleasure, you're going to have all the benefits. One thing that we like to do is to download social media on the weekends. We don't really use it, but we have it so that we can give it out to some pretty girls that we meet on the weekend or check some messages.
Yeah, and what I actually noticed is it's actually so much more fun as well. Like whenever I, for example, see a funny reel or something, if I don't use social media regularly, I actually genuinely laugh. I actually enjoy these things. I'm pretty sure 90% of the time you spend on social media, you're just scrolling with a straight face like this. That's not fun. That's you being addicted. And yeah, when you actually cut these parts out and actually make them something special, that you only use on special occasions, for example, you actually enjoy it.
Now, another thing that's very important is you're suddenly going to have a lot of free time when you cut out 80% of your bad habits. I mean, check your screen time right now. My guess is that you probably spend 3 hours a day on Instagram or TikTok, right? Now imagine you have 3 whole hours more every single day. That's a lot of time that you need to fill with something productive. You could use these 3 hours to do your work or to learn a new skill. It can even be something that's fun as well as dopamine detoxy, like hitting the gym.
Of course, the 24-hour detox also has its benefits, and I think that's something definitely worth mentioning. What we noticed is that a dopamine detox, a 24-hour version, is very useful if you just want to take the time to think, to just clear your mind and kind of stay away from all the stimulation, to actually take some time to think for yourself. Because I think a lot of people actually lack this one habit. They never take any time to just sit or go out on a walk and just be alone with their thoughts. And at least what we noticed for ourselves is that you get so many more ideas and it's really beneficial for your mental health. And that's why we're not completely against the 24-hour dopamine detox, but the function that it has is just completely different than what is preached online.
I mean, in theory, you could do a 24-hour detox every single week, let's say every Sunday, if that's sustainable for you. For most of us, it probably isn't, just simply because we need that communication with other people.
What I'd recommend is there's so many different moments in your life where you just think to grab your phone right away. You're waiting for the microwave so you can eat that beautiful juicy Hot Pocket. And the first thing you're going to do is probably grab your phone and use social media. But just imagine taking those 2 minutes to actually think about your life, think about what you want in the future, how you can improve your relationships, maybe what your relationships are with certain people. We never actually bother to stop and think about these things. And I promise you, once you integrate this into your life, you'll notice how much more creativity you'll have and how much more your mental health and your life will generally improve.
Bill Gates actually takes some time every single day where he has no distractions. He's not reading a book, he's not listening to music, he isn't doing anything but thinking. He's just there with his own thoughts, which allows him to be more creative, come up with new ideas, and honestly, it's just really good for your mental health as well, if you finally can properly think again. If you finally allow yourself to take some time, let's say a 24-hour dopamine detox, to just simply think and reflect, you're going to be much more in touch with your own life. And that's quite a valuable thing.
If you enjoyed this banging episode of Pablo's Pill, you might like this one as well. We'll see you there.